Picking a niche can be both the best and worst thing that you do for your business. On the one hand, it's the quickest way to build an audience, attract clients, and make a shit ton of money in the short term. But if you're not careful, it's often the quickest way to kill your business in the long term, especially for a lot of creatives where picking a niche and putting yourself in this tiny little box just leaves you feeling bored, burnt out, and unfulfilled. And so how do you position yourself as the expert and make it easier to attract clients without feeling like you're stuck in a box that you will never get out of? Well, it is possible because I've done it. And so in this video, I want to show you exactly how I found my niche, or in other words, the thing that I did better than anybody else that allowed me to charge a premium for my web design services, and then how I grew out of this niche and expanded my business without losing my original audience and having to start all over again from scratch. And so to start off, there is a reason that every expert out there is shouting at you to niche, niche, niche. The more specific you are about the value you provide and the audience you serve, the easier it is to grow an audience and attract clients. For example, let's say you are a wedding photographer looking for a web designer to revamp your website. You're not just looking for the budget option, you're ready to invest in an expert that's going to help you get results. And so you start looking for someone to help you, and you come across three options. First, you have someone over here who is a generalist. They offer everything: web design, logo design, animation, video editing, social media management. Whatever it is, they do it. Then person number two, they just offer web design. They specialize in this one thing. And then person number three over here is also a web designer, but they specialize in building websites for wedding photographers. And so which one is this client choosing? Well, the obvious option is going to be number three, the person who specializes in building websites for wedding photographers. By niching down, this web designer over here has made themselves a no-brainer option for this client, making it not only easier to attract more clients like this, but easier to charge more for their services because the perceived likelihood of this type of client getting the results they want if they choose this person is higher. And so for your business and for making the most amount of money possible, being this specialist over here instead of the generalist over here makes a lot of sense. But there are two massive mistakes when trying to pick a niche that set you up to fail in the long term. Number one is niching down too quickly. I speak to a lot of people who are trying to launch their business and they're stuck because they just haven't figured out what their niche should be yet. But for your niche to really serve you, it has to do two things. It needs to be something that you enjoy and you want to do, and there has to be a demand for this thing. You need to have an audience that are interested and need what you're offering. And so actually the best way to find your niche is to start broad and explore a little at first, explore your interests, explore what works with your audience, and then slowly narrow this down over time. For example, I was running a live workshop the other day around building your business through content, and one of the participants shared with me that they are a web designer and their current niche was electricians. And they found this niche because they built a website for an electrician who then referred them to a bunch of other business owners and found that there was a demand for this service. And so what this person did here is a perfect example of how you can find your niche. He worked with a client, did a great job, and then got a bunch of referrals from similar clients. And if he had really enjoyed working with this client and loved this project, then I would tell him to absolutely lean into this and pursue that opportunity. Build out your offer, build out your portfolio around this industry, and use that to charge more as a specialist for this type of client. But the problem that this guy was having was that this wasn't necessarily a project he enjoyed or a niche that he was really excited about. And so it's really good to look at the market and see where the demand is. But if you don't want to be stuck making websites for this one type of client and it's going to suck all the joy out of your work, then do not do it. It might make you more money in the short term, but you're the one that has to work on this day in and day out. And if you're not enjoying it, you're not excited about it, then it's not sustainable in the long term and it's really not worth it. And so my advice to him was take all the work you can get from these referrals behind the scenes, but don't niche down in public just yet. Only put out the work and portfolio examples that you enjoy and you want to do more of. And there are other audiences and other ways to specialize, and you don't have to get stuck in the first niche that you fall into. Which brings me nicely into the second mistake that people make. So mistake number two is thinking that there's only one way to niche down. For most people, when they hear the word niche, they think that this means service plus industry. For example, they pick a service like web design, then they pick a smaller audience or industry within this. So for example, web design for real estate. But this is just one way of niching down. There are 100 other things that you can become known for and 100 other ways to set yourself apart as the expert. So So you can niche by service and industry, but you can also niche down by design style, skill, or specific knowledge, by the problem that you solve, for example, just building high converting landing pages, or how you structure your offer. So for example, website in a day. For example, at the beginning of my web design business, I had no niche. I was just trying to find any type of client. And so I was focusing all my attention at getting really good at building websites. I cared about getting results for my clients and doing a good job. And so I was just learning everything I could and then sharing what I was learning with my audience. And as I was learning, I then became obsessed with sales psychology and copywriting, and this was something that really excited me, and I leaned into this a lot to improve my services and the results that I got my clients. And after a while, when clients came to me, they would all say something like, I saw your content, I loved your approach around storytelling and crafting messaging to connect with your customers. And so I leaned into my interests, and I became known for my unique approach to web design through storytelling and sales psychology. This was what set me apart, and I only had to be good at this one thing. I didn't have to be the best at everything. My design style wasn't the best. Visually, there are better web designers out there. I didn't specialize in a specific audience or industry, but I was really good at crafting messaging that converts, and that was my unique edge over other web designers. So whatever it is, you just want to focus all your energy on improving your skills and the results that you get your clients, and forget about trying to label and put yourself in a box. And then you will find that naturally over time, you'll become known and recognized for the thing that you do really well. And this is how you find your niche. And then once you do this, once you start to become known at being really good at this one thing, then something really, really cool also starts to happen. And this is called the halo effect. And so what this means is that when you show the world something that you are really good at, they start to assume that you are really good at everything else too. But the problem is that the opposite is also true. If you try and do everything and show the world a bunch of things that you're just average at, then they're going to judge you on your worst work. They'll see the one thing that you're not very good at and then presume that you're shit at everything else too. And so you want to show the world only your very best work. You want to achieve credibility for the one thing that you really excel at, and then use that to grow your audience and your business. Then once you have an audience that trusts you, you can go broad from there. For me, I started with web design, and then from there I specialized in sales psychology and copywriting, and the credibility and the audience that I built from that allowed me to branch out and go broad into more overall online business strategy. I discovered Notion and productivity systems, and I now sell templates to all kind of freelancers and business owners. And I make content and have an audience that trusts me to talk about everything online business: audience growth, business strategies, business systems, digital products, personal branding. And so going deep at first and getting really good at one thing allowed me to then branch out in the future. And this audience trusted me and followed me because I had built up a lot of trust and credibility with them from being good at this one thing first. So another example of this in practice is Ali Abdaal. He grew his initial audience making videos about what he knew, helping people study and get into medicine. And then as his audience grew, he continuously pursued his curiosity and passions, and now makes content about productivity, books, tech, and everything around building a life that you love. So while no one knows you, you want to start specific and then use that to build recognizability, and this is going to help you grow your business quicker in the short term and also start making more money faster, and then you can branch out from there. And the other very important thing that allows you to do this is a personal brand. This is another question I get asked a lot. Should I pick a niche or build a personal brand? And the answer is both. They are not mutually exclusive. To build your business and grow an audience, you need to be very specific in who you're talking to and the value that you offer. And so go niche in the value and the service that you provide, but make sure that people connect that value to you, your face, your personality, your experience. You are the memorable thing or the brand, rather than having a logo or an agency name. And the benefits of doing this is that it allows you to, one, build up an incredible amount of trust very quickly with your audience. People connect with people over brands. Tesla has 30 million followers, but Elon Musk has 187 million followers. Virgin has 700,000 followers, but Richard Branson has 15 million. And so especially when there's so much content and competition out there, people gravitate towards people that they can relate to and connect with, and it gives you that additional edge over someone else. And the second thing it allows you to do is pivot and grow your business. You're building an audience that trusts you and will follow you in whatever direction direction you choose to go in the future. Personal branding doesn't have to be exhausting or complicated. You really don't have to post everything about your life. It's just about attaching your face to the value that you're providing, making sure that people remember you. And so I don't share a lot about my personal life in my content. In fact, I hardly share anything. The way that I bring myself into my content and make myself memorable is just by using my personal experience to build connection with my audience. I'm very transparent about my failures, my struggles, my wins, and all the ups and downs in my business. And I just do my best to present myself as a multidimensional person and not just this all-knowing, picture-perfect expert that a lot of people try to be in their businesses and their content. And this builds an audience that trusts you and connect with you as a person. And so for all you multi-passionate creatives and business owners looking for a way to build a business and an audience that gives you complete freedom to take your business in whichever direction you want to go in the future, in the most simple terms, here is the strategy. 1, start specific. Go niche at first to make it easier to build an audience and attract customers. 2, show your face to build a personal connection and an audience that trusts you. Then 3, use this audience to go broad and take your business in whichever direction you want in the future. And if you need a step-by-step for how to get started with this, then this video here will give you 5 pieces of content that you can post today to help you position yourself as the expert and attract your first clients.